Good afternoon, folks. It is another Canucks signing. For the first time in like 40 days, I get to make a video. The offseason is fun, isn't it? But the Vancouver Canucks have announced that they have signed Pius Suter to a 2-year, $1.6 million contract. Right there, you can see it from the horse's mouth themselves. 2-year, $1.6 million AAV. And if you're wondering, yeah, Pius. I had to look it up in the pronunciation guide. I hope that's right. You'd think it would be. Who is Pius Suter? Well, he has been a name sort of floated around as a potential candidate for really a 3C role for a team that needs it. And do the Canucks need a 3C? Probably. Like some people say, Teddy Blueger is going to fulfill that role. We'll get to that when we get there. But let's look at the career of Pius Suter, undrafted free agent, born in May of '96. He got his first taste of NHL action in the shortened 2020-2021 season. He played 55 games. He had 27 points. He was actually like a revelation for the Blackhawks, being a genuinely good player that they got for essentially nothing on a 1-year undrafted deal. He goes in, puts up some pretty good, like, you'd be happy with that as a third liner. Second liner, you'd be kind of pushing it, but as a third liner, half a point per game, 40-point pace. I mean, you're laughing, right? You're absolutely laughing. So then the Detroit Red Wings decide, hey, we're going to pay this guy. His cap's up here. He got a 2-year deal as a UFA from Detroit at $3.25 million. So we got a nice little payday, $6.5 million over 2 years. He did okay. He put up 36 points in 82 games. Again, from a third-line center, you'd be totally happy with that. And then had a bit of a step back last year, 24 points in 79 games. So played the whole season, just 24 points. He was only a -3. I mean, not great, but, he's kept the goal totals up, right? 14 in the first year, although he only played 55 games, 15 and then 14. I mean, he's been totally fine as a 3C, but he has taken a bit of a step back. Let's go to the analytical side, right? I've got a very blurry JFresh card for you. Apparently, defensively, his game got really good last year. You can see that offense here took a dip, and you can tell by the point totals that dip did happen. However, his finishing went up because he did score the same amount of goals. I imagine he just took fewer shots, but his defense actually spiked quite a bit. And for a 3C, that is what you are hoping for. You're hoping for a good defensive player, and that took his overall wins above replacement up to above 80th percentile. They're projecting for this year that he'll be in about the 71st percentile, which is fantastic. Here's the big one. PK, 94th percentile. Fantastic. The Canucks PK was, as you all know, absolutely atrocious last year. We've heard Rick Tocchet say that he might not want to put guys like Elias Pettersson out on the power play for that much time, so they get more time elsewhere in actual production roles. If we go over to The Athletic, they put out a chart of basically the top available free agents that are currently still available, and Pius Suter is on this list. Now, a lot of these numbers aren't going to make sense because you can't see the top part. I wish that came down with you, but here is the big portion of it. They projected he would get 3 years at $2.6 million per. The Canucks got him for 2 years at $1.6 million per, and they believe his actual value, his model value, is $2.3 million per year. So essentially, the Canucks are coming out ahead if you believe this one model, right? This one model says this player on an average team should get $2.3 million. And again, the way you get better in a hard salary cap league is you have the most efficient salary cap usage. It might not be the most fun way to look at things, but it is, sort of just the way she has to work. So by this metric, the Canucks have done pretty well. A couple more things I want to take a look at. One, cap space, minus $5 million. Money doesn't matter. I mean, look, there's going to be more shoes to drop here, right? Canucks have a full roster. They have $5 million of going to be over the cap. We know Tanner Pearson's likely going to be back for camp. So it seems unlikely that, with LTIR candidates, they are technically in the black. They are up ahead, but this does include, if I'm not mistaken, it includes, Pearson and Poolman. So if either of them come back, they are over the cap. So there's still going to be more shoes to drop, assuredly. Probably a winger. Let's go to Daily Faceoff. Last thing we're going to take a look at is where he's going to fit on the lineup. He is prototypical third line center. This list is it's missing Tanner Pearson and Tucker Poolman, but everyone else is here, so that should be fine. So the Canucks' current center depth was Pettersson, Miller, Blueger, and Oman. What this Pius Suter signing allows you to do is essentially bump everyone below Miller down, right? You can bump Blueger down. You can maybe push Oman to the wing if you want him to play, or you can send him down to the AHL. Or if we're getting a little bit crazy and maybe JT Miller goes back to not being good at center and is a better winger, well, maybe you can stick him on the second line or put Blueger on the second line. Again, it's not great, but maybe, we'll see. It gives them more options at the very least. But essentially, it means that the Canucks down the middle look really, really strong, right? You have Elias Pettersson, bona fide number one center. You have JT Miller, really good 2C, who has had some defensive issues, but maybe can overcome them and showed some flashes at the end of last year showing that maybe he can. And if that's the case, fantastic number two center. Pius Suter, totally good 3C that we're not paying $3 million for, like Jay Beagle or Antoine Roussel as a winger. So fantastic. And then your 4C becomes now Teddy Blueger, and then maybe he's splitting time with Niels Oman, or some other players can come in. Down the middle, the Canucks look great. And they already have too many wingers. Like, look at this roster and tell me things aren't really, coming together, right? You got Pettersson, Beauvillier, and Kuzmenko. Now imagine, Mikheyev probably comes up there in Beauvillier's place. It would be my guess. But then you go Beauvillier, Miller, Besser. That's good. You then go Suter with Pearson and Garland as your line three. I mean, Pearson's slow, sure, but that looks all right too. And then you go with Blueger with Joshua and Podkolzin, or Di Giuseppe, or whoever. They got lots of depth that they can pull up. Forward group looks pretty good, in my opinion. That looks to me like a team that can win some hockey games and maybe make the playoffs if the defense holds up, which they've made some big additions, right? I mean, it's a totally revamped defense from last year. Hughes and Soucy, Cole, Hronik, Wolainen, Myers. Wolainen, again, maybe a question mark there. But the big thing is going to be the penalty kill. Adding Suter and Blueger to that penalty kill should make a big difference. Adding Ian Cole and Soucy to that penalty kill should make some big differences. And hopefully we see a team that is, at the very least, in the mix. We can hope. I'm looking forward to seeing what projections are going to be around this team. Training camp's just about a month away. We will be back to do Canucks After Dark on Monday to talk more about this and sort of how the lineup is looking to shake up. I'll spend a little bit more time actually, putting some lines together, thinking about good power play and penalty kill units. And then, you couple that all with Thatcher Demko and insert X goalie here, probably Spencer Martin. And I'm pretty happy. I would love to get another backup goalie is the only real hole that I have here. The Canucks just have no money left. But let me know your thoughts on this signing down below. Pius Suter joining the Canucks in his fourth NHL season. He's 27. I mean, he's young, right? You have him for his 27 and 28-year-old season. Nice and cheap. So let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys later.